if you're not familiar with Del Toro's work, this is a very good place to start. So this series just dropped on Netflix. It's in the supernatural horror genre, an 8-part series with a whole heap of different stories. Del Toro's got his paintbrush all over it, and it's very much worth a watch, especially on a Friday night with a big box of popcorn and your blanket. Welcome back to DMR. Thank you for tuning back in. Much obliged. How are you? Hope you are well. So this will be the YouTube and podcast version of another series review from the infamous director, horror lover, monster lover, Guillermo del Toro. I'm just going to refer to him as Del Toro from this point onwards because no doubt I have probably butchered his first name, but I'm sure everybody else would as well. Had a look on YouTube how to pronounce it. That's my best. So Del Toro from this point onwards. So he's released a new series on Netflix that I powered through called Cabinet of Curiosities. It also has guest directors, storytellers, what have you, but Del Toro is definitely involved with his style of directing. So let's go through it. Thank you for all those that tuned in for the House of the Dragon review. Also, I've started doing YouTube shorts with some of the AI artwork that I create, getting some good traction there. So jump over on the YouTube section where it says shorts for my page there. Some really good people tuning into that and liking what they see. So thank you for that. But like Bill Burr says, before we go any further, let's do some advertising here. So let's go over the main sponsor for the DMR podcast, which is Manscaped. Let's check out their Performance Package 4.0 and we'll continue on thereafter. Dewey's Movie Reviews is proudly brought to you by none other than the international best-selling male grooming products being Manscaped. So this is the Performance Package 4.0. It arrived in the mail just over a week ago. I've got to tell you guys, it's an absolute game changer. We've got the main trimmer there, which is the Lawnmower version 4.0. This can be used all over the body. We've also got the Weed Whacker, which is the nose and ear trimmer. We've got the Crop Preserver and Crop Reviver for all your below the waist needs. We've also got the Magic Mat there, disposable paper mats, and along with the Performance Package Boxer Briefs. Very, very comfortable. And they've also thrown in the Shed, basically the travel bag. All this stuff is awesome, mate. Seriously, you can take this stuff anywhere you go. I'm 37 years old, so I'm not young, but I'm not old. But I tell you what, with this gear, I feel like a 20-year-old yet again. So be sure to use the promo code, which is Dewey20. That's Dewey20 at manscaped.com to receive 20% off. So it's huge. The savings are massive. I've seen what they retail for in the major stores here in Australia, and I tell you what, you are saving a hell of a lot of money here. So guys, get onto it, manscaped.com, use that promo code Dewey20, that's Dewey20 to get 20% off, and they'll send you this in the mail very quickly and free shipping all the way around the world. Awesome stuff. So let's get back to the show. Cheers. So there you have it, all that fantastic Manscaped gear. Jump on manscaped.com for all your male grooming product needs. Awesome gear. I've been using it for a week now and use it religiously every single day. It's fantastic. And remember to add that promo code in, which is Dewey20. That's Dewey20 for 20% off. So let's jump straight into it. So we've got Cabinet of Curiosities by Del Toro. So this recently came out on Netflix. It rates fairly high on Rotten Tomatoes, and when you watch the trailer for Cabinet of Curiosities, you can tell straight away that Del Toro is all over it in terms of his cinematography. So I've been a big fan of Del Toro's work for quite some time now. He has very recognizable films. The cinematography in those films are immaculate. The only way I can probably describe his style of directing is it's basically a graphic novel that has come to life. And when I say that, we've got films like the Pacific Rim film that came out in 2014. I absolutely love that film. It is amazing. It's basically giant monsters or kaiju which are coming through the Earth's surface in a crack in the Pacific Ocean, and the only way to stop them is for humanity to basically create these massive mecha robots that are piloted by two pilots that have a Neuralink in them, and they absolutely hammer each other. It's an amazing film. The second one came out called Uprising, was nowhere near as good as the first. It had sequelitis 100%. You've also got films like Hellboy, The Shape of Water. We've also got Nightmare Alley. The list goes on and on and on, but you can definitely tell his style of directing when it comes out, because the look of it is immaculate. It's gritty, grimy, and lived in. I know I use that phrase quite a bit, but it is. And when you see the films on Blu-ray or 4K, you are absolutely just taken aback by what you are seeing up on the screen, because it looks like you are watching a moving piece of art. So, like a lot of actors and directors, they have been converting to the series platform on a lot of streaming services. Netflix have brought out some very good series lately in terms of the horror / thriller genre, but now we have a very well-known director who has taken up the reins on this particular set of stories, and it is goddamn well good to watch. So there are a number of episodes in this particular series. I think there's 8 of them if memory serves. I'm not going to go through all of them. Some of the series or some of the episodes I liked better than the others. They're all very, very good. However, there were a few standout episodes that I really did like when you watch it. Some of them are linked. Just keep that in mind. A little bit of a spoiler. Some of them are linked with some of the creatures, monsters, or demons, witches, whatever you want to call them. They're linked somehow, some of them. So probably my favorite was The Outside, which is about a lady that is obsessed with looking her best. She's kind of an outcast or a misfit type lady that is on the outer of the popular group she kind of hangs around. They're all pretty, la da da. I think it's set in the early 80s or late 80s or something along those lines. She gets basically hooked up on an infomercial with this cream that basically burns the absolute hell out of her face and body, and then she keeps basically coming back and watching the TV, and the TV starts to talk to her, saying, no, you got to put it on, and it's just a downward spiral from there. The other episode that I really loved was Graveyard Rats, about a grave robber who goes around robbing people as they get buried into the ground, and then basically he has to go up against an army of these underground rats, and there is a big mama rat as well. So it's got that late 80s style of horror genre look and feel about it, with Del Toro painting his paintbrush over it with his style of directing. So they are very, very cool 80s type horror episodes, and that's why you kind of get hooked on them straight away, and that's why we powered through it as much as we did. So Del Toro has a pretty long list of films that he has worked on since the early 90s. The first film was a film called Chrono in 1992. I haven't seen that one. Then came Mimic in 1997, pretty decent film about subterranean shape-shifting alien cockroach things. They've also got Blade 2 that came out in 2002, Hellboy 2, Pan's Labyrinth, Pacific Rim. You've also got Nightmare Alley as well, just to name a few. So you will get a sense of what this director is like when you watch his films, because they are pretty much visually spectacular. So another cool thing about the actual series is that at the start of each episode, we've got Del Toro, who kind of waddles up to the front of the screen. He's got this little cabinet of curiosities, and each time that he presents a different episode and director, he'll open up a part of the cabinet, and it's got an item in it that relates to the story that he's about to tell. So I really did like that whole aspect of the series, because he's talking directly to you, the audience, sitting at home on Netflix watching your series. So It kind of had a feel to the Goosebumps show or the books, or Are You Afraid of the Dark, I think it was called, back in the 90s. Yes, they are kids series, however this is not a kids series at all. It's got very bloody and gory amounts of violence in it, so definitely do not put your kids in front of this particular series because you'll probably scare the absolute crap out of them and probably cause night terrors. But it does have that kind of feel about that Goosebumps or Are You Afraid of the Dark kind of feel as an adult. So it's an adult version of Goosebumps basically. So as I mentioned, there are a few episodes, 8 off the top of my head. I liked all of them, but I liked some of them better than the others, especially Graveyard Rats and The Outside. There's also one with a witch as well, which is quite good and quite disturbing, so check that one out as well. Nothing beat going to the video store when you're a kid with the smell of popcorn in the air, going over to the horror section and picking out a number of weekly videos for a very cheap price. I have to admit, the nostalgia did kick in when I started to watch this series because it took me back to being a kid renting out horror movies in the 90s. So the pros and cons of Cabinet of Curiosities. So the pros, again, Del Toro's cinematography, directing style, it's beautiful, it's awesome, it's gritty, grimy, lived in. And I absolutely loved looking at what I was seeing on the screen. It kind of draws you in and keeps you going. And especially there was the first episode called Lot 36 or something along those lines. It's basically a gentleman that is buying or has bought a certain storage locker, and it has a lot of paranormal activities in there, and there's some type of dead body beyond a certain part in the locker room. So it's really cool. I did like that episode as well. So all in all, the pros for it, it does look very good and it draws you in. The cons, probably I would have liked to have seen maybe 2 more episodes. That would have been pretty good, but again, I'm nitpicking there, and some of them aren't as good as the others, but they're all pretty good to watch up on the screen. So my verdict on Cabinet of Curiosities, I will give it my #1 rating, which is 110%. Watch this show, and if it does come out on Blu-ray or 4K, no doubt I'll probably be buying it for my collection because it will look very, very crisp up on your big screen TV, especially in 4K. So thank you for tuning in to my review for Cabinet of Curiosities. Again, remember all that fantastic Manscaped gear. Jump on their website and give it a good crack. So as always, I will catch you on the Menjay. So there we have it, Cabinet of Curiosities by none other than Del Toro himself. 8 fantastic episodes. I'm really pumped for season 2. They've started something very, very good here. No doubt they're going to have to follow it up with a second season, 100%. So thank you again for tuning into DMR for this series review. If you could do me a massive favor and smash that subscribe button below, it would be much obliged.